whatever we do for ourselves, we take with us. But whatever we do for others, we leave it behind. So that is something to where I would like to continue to be a light. I would like to continue to be an example. I would like to be like a conduit where things are working through me, because this is bigger than me. A lot of times at about 4:30 in the morning, my eyes will come open, and I'm so thankful and prayerful, excited about the day, because you never know what that day brings. So when I get up, I try to get up and kind of get out of the way of my wife, because she's, pretty much in a repetitious mode of getting to work at a certain time and go through her routine. Now, there is a routine that I have to go through, because besides my wife, there are two lovely dogs that we have. So after getting up and getting out of her way, so we can get out of her way, I take my dogs out. And the meditation continues to go on. And of course, they have been isolated for the last 6 to 7 hours out in our garage. And when I come out, I have to be ready to go, because they're ready to go. So I take them out, take them on a walk. But before all that happens, they have to take care of their business. And taking care of their business is relieving themselves. And that's why you always hear me talk about being the pooper scooper man. I'm cleaning up poop. Before my day starts, I got to clean up some poop. And you got to have the right attitude. And I've become a master at cleaning up poop, because I've dealt with it in all of the 4 seasons that we have. And one of the toughest seasons is when the leaves is falling, because you got to distinguish between what's brown and what's a leaf and what's poop. And so you got to stay on top of it, because if you don't clean it up, you might track it back into your house. So my day starts off that way, and then after that, I really get into a routine that helps me to get rid of any toxic types of energy, because there are a lot of calls that I could receive, or calls that I need to call people back. And so I try to get a workout in. And I try to get a workout in, whether I go to the gym or whether I go to the park. And that workout allows me to, keep my energy up and release some things, and whatever junk is left in, I try to get that junk out of me. And I graduated from Roger Bacon High School. And from Roger Bacon, I attended Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. And sports was definitely a motivator for me being there. And I think what happened was, once I got out on the field, they didn't know what they had when I came in there, because even when I told them that I could not afford to come to this school, they said they had a way of me being able to work off my tuition. And I said, well, I think that I'll be able to contribute in another way. I didn't sell myself as an athlete. I sold myself as a person that was interested in higher education. And I, stayed in school for quite some time. In fact, I was having a double major, and that double major was industrial psychology and business administration. And I always saw myself as doing better than just average. I believe those of us who are average have average things. Those of us who strive to become above average have above average things. So that means that you got to work. So a work ethic and all those things were very important to me. You can go anywhere in the world if you have a good idea, if you have a good product, or you give good service. And so those were some principles that I was living by, and some things that I needed to do in regards to being able to live a life that was an example of being above average. If you're not planning a future for yourself, then someone is planning it for you. Not that that's bad, but you really need to ask yourself those questions. I believe education is your passport to the future. I started my own business, and it happened to be a paint business. And of course, I told my father that before I started, and that really, tickled him. I used my resources and used my God-gifted ability, and what happened, I was able to start a paint company with the help of some people who was backing me and helping me and things like that. And so, I ended up, starting out with maybe 5 guys and ended up with about 15 to 18 guys over a 4-year period, over actually a 5-year period, and did, a couple years, well over $1.5 million in sales. But during that time, I also was involved with starting a board game through the National Football League, which was called the Coaches. It was the Coaches game. So, during that time, I was able to utilize some of my resources and some of our profits to actually, diversify myself in a way that was going to do some things that was going to branch off in some other areas and stuff like that. But all that stuff happened under the SV Ross Company, and then a couple things happened in terms of starting a subsidiary company called Mind Power, which was creating ideals for the future. My current occupation right now is I work with an organization called the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission, and right now I am in a position of being a director over our outreach initiative of Cirv, Cincinnati Initiative to Reduce Violence. And so I actually direct and train and recruit a group of men and women who go out here, and we deal with gun violence, specifically with groups and gangs. And we go out here to actually deal with the mindset of being able to get people to begin to think about their lifestyle, to think about their choices and their decisions, and to realize their consequences. And the main thing is public safety. But I think but besides that, we also are in a position to be examples in terms of mentors and coaches, as well as advocates, and a few other roles that we play in terms of connecting people to social services, connecting people to educational services, as well as employment and things like that. I had to ask myself the question, Dante, what would I do for free? And that began to open up a whole new world for me, because a lot of things have been predicated on how much you pay, how much money I was going to make. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then when you start asking yourself the question, what would you do for free, then you have gotten to a point where you're passionate, you're real, you're honest, and it's not about the money. It's about what contribution can you make to society. I tell you what, there is one thing in my life that I wish I would have did different. I became a quarterback over at Roger Bacon. In fact, I was the first black quarterback over at Roger Bacon, which was a great feat. And there was people up on that hill rooting for me. But what happened was, it was another brother who was from up on that hill that went to Woodward. And we had a game one day, Woodward against Roger Bacon. And what happened was, I had an opportunity to run a touchdown. But I became so coached that there was a guy who was wide open in the end zone. And I threw the ball. And I should have kept it, because he dropped it and we lost the game. So that would be the only thing that I would do over again, okay? Now, okay, that's the only, because I had the touchdown, bro. I had the touchdown. And that's something I go back all these years to think about, that one play that I threw it and he dropped it. So if I would, in terms of what I want to do, this is a great segue. I'm still throwing the ball. I'm just making sure that people are catching it. And if they don't catch it, I'm going to run it in and score. My thing is, I love people. I would like for all of us to be in a position where we can be the examples of what relationships really look like in terms of impacting our communities, our families, as well as the city, as well as the world. And, the thing is that, and I do want to say this, and that is, whatever we do for ourselves, we take with us. But whatever we do for others, we leave it behind. So that is something to where I would like to continue to be a light. I would like to continue to be an example. I would like to be like a conduit where things are working through me, because this is bigger than me. So I am trying to recruit the best of us and build that mastermind group of men and women who have gifts and talents that I don't have, and begin to just coach them through, connect them to services, so that whatever I do will go into a time period that perhaps I won't even see. But I can go away in peace to know that this time when I threw the ball, you caught it.